February 1st, 2003. The Space Shuttle Columbia was on its way home after a successful 16-day mission when disaster struck. Just minutes before its planned landing, the shuttle disintegrated over Texas, killing all 7 crew members and leaving the world in shock. But why did this happen? What led to one of NASA's darkest days? Today, we dive deep into the tragic story of Columbia's final mission, STS-107, exploring the sequence of events, the technical failures, and the organizational oversights that caused this disaster. Part 1, the Columbia Space Shuttle. The Columbia was NASA's first space shuttle, a marvel of engineering that had flown for over 2 decades. Launched in 1981, it completed 27 missions before its final flight. Unlike later shuttles, Columbia was heavier and designed more for testing and experimentation than construction missions like those of the International Space Station. By 2003, it was an older spacecraft, but still an integral part of NASA's fleet. Part 2, the STS-107 mission. STS-107 was a dedicated science mission. The 7 astronauts on board conducted 80 experiments in microgravity, including studies on combustion, fluid dynamics, and biological tests. This mission was unique, not tied to the International Space Station or satellite deployment, focusing solely on advancing our understanding of science in space. The trouble began during launch on January 16, 2003. About 81 seconds after liftoff, a piece of insulating foam detached from the external fuel tank. This foam, roughly the size of a briefcase, struck Columbia's left wing at high speed. Foam shedding wasn't new. Similar incidents had occurred on previous shuttle launches without catastrophic consequences. But this time was different. The foam strike compromised the heat-resistant tiles on the shuttle's wing, a detail not fully understood until after the disaster. During the mission, engineers raised concerns about the foam strike. Some even requested satellite imagery to inspect the damage, but the request was denied. NASA management, relying on previous experiences where foam strikes hadn't caused significant issues, dismissed these concerns. This culture of complacency, known as normalization of deviance, proved fatal. NASA management incorrectly assumed the shuttle was safe to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. Re-entry and catastrophe. On February 1, 2003, Columbia began its re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. The damaged heat-resistant tiles allowed superheated atmospheric gases to penetrate the shuttle's structure. At 8:48 a.m. EST, sensors in the left wing began to fail. Just minutes later, the shuttle broke apart over Texas at an altitude of 200,000 feet, scattering debris across hundreds of miles. The Columbia Accident Investigation Board, CAIB, concluded that the foam strike during launch was the physical cause of the disaster. However, they also identified systemic issues within NASA. A culture of overconfidence and poor communication prevented engineers' concerns from being acted upon. The report highlighted how NASA prioritized schedules and budgets over safety, failing to address known risks effectively. The Columbia disaster led to profound changes at NASA. The Space Shuttle program was overhauled, and foam shedding was addressed in future missions. NASA also implemented stricter safety protocols and encouraged a culture where engineers could voice concerns without fear of dismissal. Ultimately, the tragedy accelerated plans to retire the shuttle program, which ended in 2011. Conclusion. Columbia's story is a stark reminder of the risks of space exploration and the need for constant vigilance. The loss of STS-107's crew was heartbreaking, but their sacrifice wasn't in vain. Their legacy lives on in the lessons learned and the improvements made to ensure the safety of future astronauts. As we look to the future of space travel, Columbia's story reminds us of the cost of complacency and the importance of prioritizing safety above all else. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's honor the memory of Columbia's crew by continuing to explore space responsibly and safely.